Welcome back to Broken Together with Kaylee and Dahan. Today we are talking about
controlling the tongue. Please don't mind how giggly she is right now, and I am. It's because it's so cold, and also
because
we have taken this video so many times.
Because the camera kept on
It's okay.
cutting off. It's okay.
That happens.
Alright guys, today we're talking about controlling the tongue, and I want to first read from Proverbs 15. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. The tongue of the wise uses knowledge all right, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. Kaylee, I have a question for you.
Yes.
How difficult is it for you to control the tongue in a daily basis?
Okay, so on a daily basis, it definitely depends on if I've talked to God that day. So it's a lot easier when you start your day with your devotions and you start your day with God. It's a lot easier to control yourself because you're already, filled with the Spirit and you've invited Him there. Mm-hmm. And it's not like He's, just tagging along for the ride. It's,
Mm-hmm.
You're my God, fill my day.
Yeah.
And then I just noticed in that verse, it says, for the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. Yeah, I haven't been really paying attention, I guess, listening at all. This is great that we're on the third try. But I noticed, no matter what you're doing, no matter where you are or who you are with, even if it's somebody that you feel comfortable enough to swear or gossip around, the eyes of the Lord are there. And I've just noticed that that's something that I hadn't before.
That's true. I think I control my tongue easier around people that don't incite the emotion of anger or bitterness or resentment, or people who have clean conversation. But whenever I have friends that cuss here and there or they gossip, my standard of communication goes down.
Lower, yeah.
But it shouldn't be that way. I think Jesus Christ wants us to hold up our standard and be consistent in our walk and what we believe. It doesn't matter who we are with, and I'm a very influential person, so I think when it comes to controlling the tongue, my greatest problem is when it comes not necessarily myself. I'm not saying I'm perfect with my speech, but I struggle more with rebuking fellow brothers or sisters of Christ or even lost people to be hey, could you not say that around me, or please don't cuss, please don't say that word, or please don't be negative, please don't complain.
Yeah, because I'm easily susceptible to following in that manner.
And I'm always too well, I do it sometimes, so I don't want them to think that I'm holier than thou. But that's a struggle for me. Is and not saying that that's the only struggle. Obviously, there was a time in my life where I would be so heavily consumed by the world, in the sense of watching movies or books or listening to Post Malone and any rap songs that has the filthiest
wow, you really
words.
called me out with Post Malone, man.
I saw you, I was like, Post Malone. But certain artists that would be very relaxed with those words, and so I would find myself, whenever I would sing through their songs, I would say it, and then whenever I spill something or something that makes me angry or excited, I say it, and I'm just wait, I can't believe I just said that.
Exactly.
And as a Christian, I shouldn't be or saying things like that, because once again, we are the children of Christ. We are image bearers. The lost world looks to us. Sometimes we're the only Bible some lost people will ever have, and so if they associate Jesus Christ, the holy, perfect, righteous God up in who has died for us, and if they look at us and then we start cussing or we allow things like that to slip by, I think they would not have that awe and reverence for the God we serve.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
because we're really representing a holy God, and if we're allowing ourselves to be just if somebody looks at us and can't pick us out in a crowd and say she's different from everybody else, or listens to our speech and it's not, seasoned with grace, or you sound bitter, or you're complaining all the time, or somebody knows you as the town gossip or the campus information person, whatever, it's
the tea spiller.
Tea spiller, yeah. It's kind of like, who is controlling your tongue? Is it you or is it Jesus?
Yeah.
Is that something that Jesus Christ would listen next to you?
Oh, yeah.
Would he be talking? Would he be having this conversation with you? I think that's something to just evaluate.
And you have to keep in mind that Jesus Christ is always like God, will always be seeing what we're doing. And I heard this advice when I was like in 4th grade. I was whispering to a friend about something random. I wasn't doing something ill-willed, but like my youth pastor was just like, hey, like Daehan, if you can't say it in the microphone to the whole church, don't like whisper it to somebody. And I think that's such a good principle to live by, because if it's not edifying or it's not encouraging or whatsoever is true, whatsoever is honest, whatsoever is pure, whatsoever is of a good report, think on these things, like those like things. If it's something that we can't like tell the whole world and still be like a good reflection of Jesus Christ, I don't think it should ever be said in this like a private conversation. We should be wary with what comes out of our mouth, and I think a lot of times what we hear like comes out through what we say. So that like the moments that we've failed and we made mistakes of gossiping or having negative conversation, I think it's because we have allowed ourselves to have influences in our life that like have grown desensitized to those things.
So what's the first thing that you immediately turn to when you know you have to hold your tongue?
My turn to, I think prayer. I think I feel this immense guilt all of a sudden that I can't believe I'm doing that. Like, Don, you know better. Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Or like you just made that person feel bad about like whatever. You don't know what the person is going through. So I pray. I say, sorry, God, I am so sorry I said that. And then I think the Bible teaches us in Psalms 142:7, instead of just like cutting stuff out of your life or like feeling sorry for like your filthy communication, is to have the intentional choice of praising God's name, because it says in Psalms 142 that God has dealt bountifully with us, and we should focus on God's goodness. And so in that prayer, we should like turn the focus back to God and like, God, I am nothing without you. Thank you so much for like loving me even though I say these things or I think these things, or I'm a bad influence right now, or like just to turn it and praise God and magnify his name.
I really like that you said it's an intentional choice to turn to God in that time. I really think that we need to be more intentional with our speech. Everybody's always talking, actions speak louder than words, and be intentional with your actions, but it really needs to carry over in the way we communicate ourselves and portray ourselves in our speech, because what people hear from us is how they're going to what they're going to associate us with. If we're always complaining or always negative or always bitter or always saying something negative about somebody else, that's going to be associated onto our character and onto our Jesus Christ, who we are representing.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that whenever I feel like I'm so repetitive in saying this, but whenever somebody starts bringing up a conversation that won't end in a good place, that they're purposefully bringing this conversation up to speak ill of someone or to bring another person down or start strife or anything that's vain and filled with bitterness. I think every saved person has a discernment of feeling that, the Holy Spirit already wait a minute, what they're about to say is not gonna be good. Is to immediately be like, hey, is it okay if you don't say that around me? Or I don't know that person, could you please not talk about it? Or sometimes some people are innocent in their questions, like, what do you think about so and so? And sometimes that so and so they're talking about is like somebody like we don't necessarily have good things to say, and I mean that's gonna happen as a Christian. But instead of like giving in to the flesh of being like, okay, I will tell you all the tea about this person, to be like, okay, I would suggest you to get to know that person on your own.
Yeah,
And
I like
instead,
that.
like turning it away from a filthy communication, a detrimental, like you don't want to like hurt somebody's character who might be trying to be a better person.
Exactly. You never know where somebody is at in their walk with God or their point of growth. You really never know where somebody's trying to grow from or what they have gone through to get away from the reputation that they have.
Yeah.
So it's really important that we, first of all, not listen to what other people are saying. You really want to try and get to know other people for yourself, because rumors are like, they really ruin somebody's reputation and
oftentimes
character.
they're not true because they're hearsay. Like usually people who talk about others are those that don't know them that well, or like heard it from somebody else
or
who
they
don't
had
even
one
know
bad
him.
instance with that person.
Like
And it
people
just,
have bad days, y'all.
yeah, shocker.
Forgive and forget.
And even on a not so bad day, you know, after 15 minutes of prayer,
like
it's still really, really easy to mess up.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think it goes back to like in a sense loving them, and like controlling your tongue is also a form of like loving Christ, you know, and
I love
saying,
that.
God, like this is your body, not mine, your thoughts, not mine. I want you to clean out my heart, clean out my mind. I pray that that I would be used by you, that every part of me is gonna point others to you. And so like we have to be very careful with what we say.
Yeah, it's not even just like protecting your reputation, but it's a commandment. It says, let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer every man. This isn't just something, you know, to protect how you look in somebody's eyes or how you see yourself when you know, see yourself in the mirror. You're like, that's a cool kid, you know? It's not about that. It's really a commandment from Jesus Christ himself, you know. Speak well, have good conversation. And then it also says somewhere in Psalms, I think, how it's good speech is a byproduct of wisdom. And so when you have good speech, this shows, you know, you're walking with Christ, you have a good reputation, you are in love with Jesus.
Yeah,
so it's really
like you can identify who's walking with Christ with like with what they say and what they dwell on, and I think that's really powerful that you brought up. I appreciate it. Okay, I think that's it, you guys. It's about to rain, so we are heading out, but I would encourage you to stay tuned.
Join us next
week. We have a guest.
A guest speaker.
And she's amazing, and we're going to talk about
the power of influence. I definitely forgot for a solid second. We're going to talk about.
What are we going to talk about? But she's amazing, and she's very insightful. One of the most godliest girls I've ever met, and I'm so thankful for her. For close proximity with such a wonderful woman. And yeah, so I'm excited for you guys to meet her.
Join us next week, and I hope you like this video.
Badeo.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.